Welcome back to 4 Cent Views. Wow, I was off camera there for a minute. Hey, today we're going to talk about the WWE going back to dual brand pay-per-views, and that is good for the most part and bad for a few people. And I haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about the negatives on this, so I'm going to discuss it and bring another view to this. Hopefully, another view, like maybe my fourth view. Anyway. So, dual brand pay-per-views are back, I believe, after WrestleMania. Outstanding, because the pay-per-views, I mean, they're having them, it feels like every 2 weeks it feels like there's a pay-per-view. If it's not every 2 weeks, it's every 3 weeks. It is just ridiculous. And, you know, I remember even after the Attitude Era kind of got wound down, where it was pretty much just WWE, and they still had the pay-per-views, but they at least had, you know, a specialized set for that particular pay-per-view. It wasn't, I mean, they all look so, outside of the big four, it all looks just so generic, like it's just another SmackDown or just another Raw. So I'm optimistic. I don't remember I don't know how long some of you guys have been watching wrestling, but you guys remember some of the backlash. Like, there was a backlash stage that had this huge, there was like 3 or 4 of them had these huge hooks and stuff like that. Little stuff like that. It's just like, it was the coolest thing. And it was in a couple video games, and I used that set a lot just because of the swinging hooks, because it looked pretty cool. Now, obviously, there's always going to be one for WrestleMania and SummerSlam and Survivor Series and Royal Rumble, but outside of those 4, it, you know, it looked all the same. So hopefully those pay-per-views will be better. You know, more people will get more bang for their buck with the WWE Network. But here's something I haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about, and this is why I feel kind of bad for a lot of the people. Some of the lower mid-card guys are rarely going to make a pay-per-view now. And here's why. Because when they kind of got, when they did this before, they did the brand split with Ric Flair and Vince McMahon being the owners of WWE or whatever stupid storyline they did at the time. They brought in Flair after the invasion was over. That made a lot of sense. Anyway, where they were owners of WWE, and one took one brand, one took the other, and that was compelling, and that made sense. And then when they did that, they had their own respective pay-per-views, and it was still roughly about the same pay-per-view schedule, you know, about 4 weeks for each one. What that did, though, it let some of them lower mid-card guys get on pay-per-views where they wouldn't normally get on. Like, look at it now. I mean, think about this for a minute. If guys like Breezango, the Ascension, those guys can. The only reason they're even on SmackDown is for the Fast Files. I love those guys. Don't get it wrong. This isn't beating them up. But are they ever going to be on a pay-per-view now? Not a chance. Not a chance. If it is, it's going to be 1, maybe 2 a year, if they're lucky. And it'll probably just be in a Battle Royal or the Royal Rumble. They didn't even make the Royal Rumble. I mean, you brought Rey Mysterio back and the Hurricane and didn't have Breezango in there. 2 guys are on the main roster. It's just incredibly frustrating. And Adam Cole, who was in NXT, I love Adam Cole too. But it's the principle that you have so many good workers now on a roster, and then all we did was just combine, made it more congested. You know, the guys at the top of the card are going to be fine. They're probably actually going to end up better off, because the buy rates will probably actually be better for these pay-per-views that are dual branded, because they're going to be better shows. I mean, just imagine that the WWE title and the Universal title actually getting defended on the same show. I mean, it's almost like having the big four basically once a month. You know, you're going to have better storylines. But why I like to almost having almost every other month for the respective brands is that, like I said, you had almost 6 to 7 weeks to build a storyline. Now, that's hard in WWE today, but that was really good. That was really, really compelling storytelling. If you knew how to do it right, it was really good. It really made you anticipate the next pay-per-view. But unfortunately, like I said, in today's WWE, it's, you know, the same 6-man tag for 3 weeks, and everybody's tired of it by the time you get to the pay-per-view. Anyway, and then the very next night after the pay-per-view, you get a rematch of what was on the pay-per-view, and it's just crazy. But and then even then, it would make it a bigger deal when there was like these, kind of quote unquote invasions storylines, when somebody from Raw would jump somebody from SmackDown or vice versa. It was a bigger deal because it didn't happen. You know, these guys are going to be on dual brand pay-per-views every month. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Like I said, I just feel bad for these guys at the bottom of the card. I mean, like another good example, you had Neville and Austin Aries last year at WrestleMania for the Cruiserweight title. One of the best matches on that entire card, and they were on a pre-show. They were on the pre-show. The Usos have been on, I think, outside of one pay-per-view, I think, this year that they've been on. They've been basically I think they've been on the pre-show every single event. Are you kidding me? Arguably the best tag team in WWE right now can't even be on the main show. And you want to do dual brand pay-per-views and smash it up even more? It isn't going to be good for... It isn't even good for those guys, let alone the guys at the very bottom trying to get a footing. A guy like Zack Ryder, this is the only way... I mean, you know, love Zack Ryder too, but, I mean, is he ever going to get on a dual brand pay-per-view? Probably not, unless he's in a stupid 10-man tag or Royal Rumble or Gauntlet match, you know, some sort of ridiculously over-the-top multi-person match. He's never gonna be on a main show again, and that's sad, because a lot of these guys, are younger guys, and they're over. They just need that little extra push. They need the right storyline to get them over the top. Ryder's had it a couple times and then just got squashed. The next month. That guy, he deserves better. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on this. It's good because it's going to provide better shows, but it's going to be bad for those guys at the bottom, because it's going to be hard for them to break out and make stars. I mean, now you're going to have guys you're going to have more of the cookie cutter factory. I'm afraid. I'm optimistic that with Triple H in charge, more day-to-day stuff, that the product as a whole will still get better. If the UK tournament, NXT is any example, still cautiously optimistic that this is going to be all right. But that's kind of how it was before, and I'm kind of concerned it's going to go back to that, because you're going to have too much to try to fit into a dual brand pay-per-view unless you make the pay-per-views. I mean, geez, even the big ones are 6 hours long now, and that's about 3 hours longer than most people can usually stand. So, just something to think about. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we will... follow me on Twitter at 4CentViews, and we'll see you next time.